Welcome friends to this session. In this session, we are going to discuss about the basic communication system. In this session, we will understand what we mean by communication. We will see how the communication is being achieved, or what is the block diagram of basic communication system and what is the function of each block. Also, we will see how the communication system can be classified into different groups or categories. As you know, friends, that you are viewing this session on my YouTube channel, Learn with Prakash Khanale, and do subscribe to the YouTube channel. So let us understand first of all what we mean by communication. When you are talking with your friend, either orally or by making use of phone, then basically what you are doing is that you are exchanging some kind of information. And this exchange of information from one person to another person or from one place to another place is being called as a communication. So communication, you can say, it is a transfer of information. And this transfer of information can take place between the two human beings, or it can take place between two computer systems, or it can take place from one place to another place. And you will find that in order to send this information from one place to another place, there are lot many things are required. So all such components that act together in order to send this information from one place to the another place is being called as a communication system. So this is a system in which there are different components. Communication electronics is not a new branch of electronics. You will find that this is one of the oldest branch of electronics. You will find that the first communication has taken place in 18th century itself. And since then, we have been using the different forms of communication. Telecommunication is also a kind of communication. And telecommunication will stand for the communication over a long distance. Say, for example, there is some cricket match going in Mumbai, and by sitting at Parbhani, you can easily view this cricket match on your television screen. So cricket match or the event is taking far away from you, and still it is possible for you to view this event on certain devices. Every communication should be efficient, it should be reliable, and it should be secure. So you can say that these are the three characteristics of any communication system. The communication should be efficient. It means that in a very short period of time or in fraction of seconds, the message should be sent from one place to another place. It should be reliable. That is, whatever the message is being sent should be received at the other end. The message should not get corrupted. And also it should be secure in the sense that your message should be opened by only the person who has been sent it. No other person should be in a position to read your message. Now let us see the basic block diagram of the communication system. You will find that the basic communication system contains the information source, the input transducer, the transmitter, the channel, the receiver, and the output transducer. So any communication system will contain these many blocks. You will find that apart from this, there is one more block present in this diagram, and it is being called as a noise source. The information source is the source from where the information is obtained. Say, for example, when you are talking on telephone, then your voice becomes the information source. So any sound or picture or speech or any computer data can be the source of information. This source of information cannot be transmitted as it is. You will find that you will require some input transducer to convert this information into electronic form or into electrical form. Say, for example, if you want to send your voice or sound, then you need to have a microphone, so that the microphone will convert this sound into electrical signal. So microphone will work as an input transducer. Then this electrical signal is further communicated to the transmitter. Transmitter is a radio transmitter which will convert this electrical signal into appropriate form. So you will find that most of the time in the transmitter, what is being achieved is coding, or it is also called as modulation. That is, the original signal is being carried from one place to another place by using some high frequency carrier signal. Now the transmitter will send the signal through some channel. So channel can be an air. So your signal can be sent through an air. Or sometimes you will find that in computer networks, we can send the signal through cable. So cable can be a channel. You will find that when the signal is sent over a long distance, then in the atmosphere, there are different disturbances present. These disturbances will create the noise, and this noise is an unwanted signal which will get added into the required signal. This signal will be further received by the receiver section. So you will find that our television set is a television receiver. Our radio set is a kind of radio receiver. This receiver is used to receive the signal which is being transmitted through the channel. After receiving this signal, the receiver will amplify the signal and it will demodulate it. That is, the function of the receiver is exactly opposite to that of a transmitter. And finally, the output of the receiver is being connected to the output transducer so that you can receive your original information. Say, for example, if we use loudspeaker as an output transducer, then the electrical signal will be further converted back into the sound signal so that we can hear the sound. So the signal processing that actually takes place in any communication system can be shown as shown in this diagram. Suppose you are speaking, so your sound becomes a signal. Now the first block is the transducer, which will convert this signal into electrical signal. So there are some electronic processors by which this sound signal is being converted into a wave. It is being called as an electrical signal. This electrical signal is coupled to the transmitter, and the transmitter will perform the job of coding or modulation. That is, this electrical signal is converted into either amplitude modulated signal or frequency modulated signal. That is, the signal is being carried by the high carrier signal, or the output of the transducer, you can say, is an electromagnetic wave. This electromagnetic wave is being transmitted in the space, or it is being transmitted on the through the air, and this signal is received by the antenna of the radio receiver. This receiver will, when receive the signal, it will further convert this signal into the original electrical signal. That is, the receiver will perform the opposite job that of transmitter. The receiver will demodulate the incoming modulated signal. This signal is further coupled to the transducer so that you can hear back the original sound signal. Now let us see what are the different types of the communication system. You will find that the communication systems can be classified into three categories or into three groups based on the direction of communication, then the nature of the signal, and then the technique of the transmission. When we consider the direction of the signal, you will find that the communication systems can be either unidirectional or bidirectional communication systems. In communication systems, we can use the signal which can be either analog signal or digital signal. And we can classify the communication systems based on the nature of the information signal. Also, you will find that there are different techniques of transmission of the signal, and therefore we can further classify the communication system based on the techniques of transmission. As far as the direction of the signal is concerned, you will find that there are three types of classification, or there are three different types of communication systems based on the direction of the signal. The first type is being called as a simplex communication system. Simplex communication system is a system in which the information is communicated in only one direction. That is, there is no two-way communication. It is only in one direction. Say, for example, your radio receiver or your television receiver is making use of simplex communication system, because only you can receive the signal and you cannot send the signal on your own. Another type of the communication system is being called as a half duplex communication system. In the half duplex communication system, you will find that these systems are the bidirectional systems. That is, it is possible to receive the signal as well as it is possible to send the signal. Say, for example, the walkie-talkie devices that are being used by the security personnel are a kind of the half duplex communication system. But this is being called as half duplex because at a time either you can send or you can receive, and that is the reason it is being called as a half duplex. Another type of the communication system that is being called as a full duplex communication system. In full duplex communication system, you can send the signal and receive the signal simultaneously at once. Say, for example, when you are talking on a mobile phone with your friend, then both of you can talk simultaneously. So such type of the system are being called as a full duplex communication system. It is possible to classify the communication system based on the nature of the signal. The electronic signal can be either analog signal or it can be a digital signal. You will find that in case of analog signal, the amplitude of the signal continuously changes. So for example, in this diagram, we have shown an analog signal by a sinusoidal wave. So you will find that the amplitude of the signal is continuously changing. In case of digital signal, you will find that the digital signal can have an amplitude either 0 or 1. So the signal changes the amplitude suddenly or abruptly. Say, for example, here the amplitude is 0 and it suddenly changes to 1. You will find that the most of the physical entities that are present in the nature are analogous in nature. Say, for example, temperature is analog entity, pressure is analog entity, volume is also analog entity. So most of the physical entities that are present in the nature are analogous in form. But the devices that we are using, say for example, when you are using a mobile phone or when we are using a computer, then the output of such digital devices is digital in nature. It is possible that you can convert the analog signal into digital, and digital signal can also be converted into analog. You will find that whenever we use analog signal, then in such a case, the bandwidth requirement of the communication system is much less. Bandwidth, it will stand for the range of the frequencies that the communication system can handle. That is the difference between the highest frequency and the lowest frequency in communication system is being called as a bandwidth. So bandwidth requirement is much less in case of analog systems. But when we use the digital signal, then you will find that the requirement of the bandwidth is very large in case of digital signals. We can further classify the communication system based on the technique of transmission. You will find that basically there are two types of transmissions. The first transmission is being called as a baseband transmission, and the second transmission is being called as a transmission using modulation. So these are the two types of transmission. Baseband signal is nothing but original information signal. Say for example, when I am talking to you, my original sound, you can call it as a baseband signal. In baseband transmission, you will find that the original information signal itself is transmitted. There is no coding here. There is no modulation here. The original signal is being transmitted as it is. Say for example, when we have a computer network, then in computer network, the original signal itself is being transmitted. Or for example, when we have a telephone communication system, then in the telephone communication system, the original signal itself is transmitted. In case of modulation, you will find that the baseband signal is transmitted along with the carrier signal. So some high frequency carrier signal is used in order to transmit the baseband signal. There are different types of modulations. Say for example, amplitude modulation AM, frequency modulation FM, and phase modulation PM are the examples of modulation. In this diagram, I have shown you how the waves will look like in AM, in FM, and in PM. So you will find that in AM, the amplitude of the carrier signal continuously changes. In FM, the frequency of the carrier signal continuously changes. And in PM, the phase of the carrier signal continuously changes. In our next session, we will discuss in detail about what is modulation and what are the different types of modulation. So thank you friends for viewing this session on my YouTube channel. Hopefully you have understood what we mean by a basic communication system. Thank you all for viewing this session.